I am the powerful compared to you.
No, you're not. You're not the powerful. I am the most powerful.
You're got wrong, both of you. I am the most powerful, like lightnings. You see, the sound of lightnings, like my lights here in my hat or my cap. See, I am the most powerful among compared to both of you. Okay, guys. So, ito po. Seryosohin na. Ito po si ang inyong lingkod, si DIY KKB. At ipipicture po natin ngayon yung nangyayari sa ating mundo. Like dito sa Ukraine, dito sa um, Russia, mga powerful nation sila eh. So, talagang matindi. Matindi po ang nangyayari. Hindi po biruan to. So, nai-intro ko lang yun, pero hindi po biruan ang nangyayari sa ating kasalukuyang hinaharap dito sa mundong iba. If ito pumutok, nakakatakot po. Nakakatakot po. So, kapit kamay po tayo sa pagdarasal at naway hindi mangyari yung nakasad sa Biblia. At meron din naman nakasad sa Biblia kung paano ito hahadlangan. Yung bansa laban sa bansa, kaharian laban sa kaharian na magkakaroon ng digmaan. Nakasulat po yun sa ating Biblia. So, tunghayan po natin kung ano yung pwedeng mangyari sa ating mundo. Ito po. Kung nadaan lang po kayo sa aking YouTube channel, consider nyo naman pong mag-like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell para updated po kayo sa mga susunod ko pang mga videos. Very informative po ito, guys. So, huwag nyo nang palampasin mag-subscribe dahil marami pa akong gagawing video na kapupulutan nyo ng aral. Hindi po, ito na po guys. Huwag na nating patagal.
Until now, whether the Ukrainians would go beyond its border and go inside Russia. America is trying to control that kind of thinking or paradigm because it will create war against all nations. If they would not allow, for example, Moscow to be occupied by the Ukrainians, but the Ukrainians are really going after his neck. And I do not know if President Zelensky would just be content with stopping at the borders. Hanggang dyan lang tayo. Huwag na tayo, do not cross. Maybe America would like it to be that way. Ang problema ngayon, ang atraso niya sa nasira niya. Because the Ukrainians would start to ask, who's going to rebuild our cities, to build our homes again? Somebody has to answer for this carnage. And so, it has to be, he represents a country, but ultimately it would be his personal at stake there. In your opinion?
Hi guys, magandang araw po sa lahat, sa aking mga subscriber at sa aking mga viewers na patuloy na sumusuporta sa aking YouTube channel, DIY KKB Informative. So napablog po ako guys upang iparating sa inyo kung ano ang tunay na nangyayari sa ating mundo na po pwedeng mangyari sa ating bansa dahil puro gera na po yung ating nababalitaan sa news. So tunghayan nyo po ang totoong nangyayari sa Ukraine at sa Russia. So nakahindik-hindik po ang nangyayari ngayon sa palibot natin. na po pwede mangyari dito sa ating bansang Pilipinas na wag naman po sanang mangyari. Dahil kawawa po tayo, napakaliit nating bansa. So tunghayan po natin ang mga pangyayari at ang sinasabi ng ating butihing Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Ito na po.
I do not think that NATO now is comfortable with just stopping the war at the border. Because they might not be able to control the Ukrainians from going inside deep into Russia. But you must realize that the weapons that they're using are the weapons given by the Western countries, America, Britain, France, Germany, all NATO members. So, kind of, there's a wonder here what will happen next.
I asked you the first question, Mayor, because the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, was always saying that they've been talking, NATO been talking about partitioning of Russia when they get defeated, and Medvedev said that should that happen, it will not happen, and if that Russia is in the prospect of being defeated, they will really use nuclear weapons.
Yes, you place Putin in one corner. He might be tempted to push the nuclear button.
Yeah.
Our best bet there is the military guys in Russia. The military is the only force there that can stop him. They can stage a coup d'etat, oust him, to prevent a total nuclear war. And the generals, I think, the younger ones, are already, I'm sure that they are planning to do what should be the next move. Go to war until the kingdom come, or stop the war and spare the world of a spectacle of a nuclear war.
If, for example, Mayor is ousted by a coup d'etat, and then the military will take over, will that stop the war?
Again,
If Putin, through a coup d'etat, will be ousted,
yeah.
and then the generals that ousted him will take over, will it stop?
It will be, I think, a consensus that nobody really wants to go to war. Because if that happens, it will include, as a matter of fact, the first victim of that nuclear warheads would be Russia. Before he can take off and send the missiles, the ballistic missiles, intercontinental, uulanin na siya ng... So Russia will be demolished to the ground if that nuclear thing happens.
But there are recent reports, Mayor, that he has already sent his nuclear subs very close to the border of the U.S. in Hawaii, in the west part of U.S. and the east coast and the west coast are very close. The report said that he can send those nuclear warheads in seconds to any cities in America.
You are correct, Pastor, because it's very hard to set a parameter of boundaries deep inside the sea.
The sea, yeah.
You cannot say that this is a part of the 3-mile nor of the 12 economic zone, whatever. The submarines do not obey boundaries there.
The recent reports, Mayor, is that they are only 100 miles from the nearest coast of the west and east of America. So, the report said that they can send those nukes to any cities in the U.S. within seconds. And for the U.S. to be able to respond, it will take them 15 minutes if it is coming from mainland Russia.
Yes.
So that is the prospect of the fear
Correct.
that we are in the world.
But the moment that the ballistic missiles are flying towards USA or UK or Germany, for that matter, or France, the submarines also of the Americans
Will also-
and the British would also send the missiles flying to Russia on short notice.
They will be able to know it, Mayor?
I think so. They have this. They have all the satellites whirling around, looking at the demography.
So,
I think if that war would come to us, to the world, it will.
what will happen to us, Mayor? Will be
I
included?
think it will.
It will annihilate humanity.
It will. Man would become extinct.
That will be the end of us.
Yes, because nothing will grow after there are thousands of warheads more powerful than the atom bombs dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the Second World War.
Mayor, you are a thinker of all of these national and international events. In a scale of 1 to 10, how close are we to a nuclear war?
I think that if it's kind of you have to, if he cannot accept defeat, lose his faith,
He will really do
I
it.
think Putin will go for it.
So, Mayor, the atomic scientists are not wrong because they just set the atomic clock to 90 seconds before midnight.
It's
Yeah.
it's ticking
Yeah. So they set
nearer here.
very close. That's
Yeah.
why I told you. So you've answered right because the scenario is if Putin is about to lose, he will really push the button. Pagdamay mo.
It will destroy the environment of the world, Mother Earth, and it would create so much problems for us, nuclear fallout.
How are we prepared, Mayor, in the Philippines?
Well, we'll just sing.
Hallelujah.
Well, we can always pray.
Just pray.
For after all, there is God. So God will enlighten everybody on what to do.
We'll just pray now, Mayor, no? This is really getting dangerous.
God will just tell them, if you do that, this will be the consequence. I created the world, and if you want to end it, and God will say, so be it. If you do not want to obey me, if you want to survive a year longer, better go to the prayer mountain and stay there. That's too far away. And besides, there is a protection of there's a
Yes.
there's a cloth of protection over.
That's right, Mayor. That's right. So that's only our refuge in this time of the events that are
Ayun guys, narinig nyo ang ating butihing Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte at may mga sinabi siya kung anong po pwedeng mangyari sa digmaang ito ng Russia at saka ng Ukraine. Kahindik-hindik po talaga ang mangyayari kung hindi sila titigil ng kanilang gera sa isa't isa. Napakasaklap po. Ang posibleng madamay diyan, buong mundo na. Sabi nga niya, parang magiging ano na yan, parang computer games na isang pindot mo lang, tatakbo na yung kanilang mga missile. Yung isa na may intercept. So, pwedeng intercept niya, babanggain niya ganon. So, paano na may mga kakampi ng ano ba, ng Russia at Ukraine? So, meron silang mga kanya-kanyang kakampi. So, ano mangyayari nun? Huwag naman po sana mangyayari. World War po ang mangyayari doon. At damay po tayo. Napakaliit na bansa natin. So, ako po ay nakikiusap sa ating mga malalaking bansa na huwag na natin pagganahin yung ating mga missiles. Kasi hindi naman kailangan yan eh. Baga tayo namumuhay dito sa ibabaw ng lupa para maging masaya, hindi para mag-away-away. Napakahirap po ang mangyayari kung sakasakali. Kahit na ito'y nakalagay sa Biblia na magkakaroon ng tagutom, magkakaroon ng paglalabanan ng bansa laban sa bansa, kaharian laban sa kaharian, at lalawak ang tagutom. Meron din naman po sinasaad sa Biblia na mga solusyon kung ano ang hadlang dito sa magiging gera. Meron din nakalagay doon. So, ang isang nakalagay doon, dasal, paniniwala, pananalig sa Panginoong Diyos, ang isang weapon natin para maligtas tayo sa mga kapahamakan. So, yun po. Ito nga po yung nauna kong video. Kasi actually, guys, sasabihin ko na totoo, monetize na po ako, pero yung mga YouTube videos ko na ganito, hindi po ina-allowed na magkaroon ng monetization. Kasi ito po ay parang, alam nyo na, hindi siya yung para magbigay ng entertainment. Hindi po entertainment itong aking ginawang video ito at saka yung nakaraan. So, doon, hindi ako kikita. Actually, na-monetize po ako last 2 months ago. Pero, imagine niyo guys, ang nagiging pera ko dun sa YouTube is nasa $4, minsan babagsak na $3, $4. So imagine niyo, hindi natin kailangan ng pera. Pagka nangyari yung World War, hindi na natin kailangan ng pera, guys. Wala na tayo. Kumbaga, kanya-kanya tayo ng survival. Hindi ba kayo natatakot dun sa ganun? So, sasabihin naman sa DIY KKB, ano naman gagawin natin? Yun nga, ang tanging magagawa natin, magdasal. Kasi, ang pera wala talaga. Papel lang yan. Hindi kagaya nung pag-ibig. Pag-ibig sa bawat tao. Pag-ibig sa kapwa-tao. Ang nananaig sa atin. Yun ang number 1 weapon na sinasaad sa Biblia. Kung kayo Kristiyano. At ganoon din naman sa ating mga kapatid na Muslim. Pag-ibig pa rin ang number 1 weapon para tayo ay lumigaya dito sa ibabaw ng lupa. So yun guys, hindi natin kailangan pera. Miski ako, hindi ko kailangan pera. Halimbawa, sabihin na natin na monetize nga ako. Nagkaroon ako ng daang-daang dolyari sa aking monetization. Mga nanonood ng advertisement kasi doon po nanggagaling yung pera ng mga YouTuber. Doon po kumikita sa mga nanonood ng commercial sa mga bawat video ng content creator dito sa YouTube. For information lang po. So, anin natin ang pera. Pagka nangyari na yung hindi natin gusto. Pero, pwedeng mangyari sa hinaharap. Nakakatakot po. Nakakatakot po talaga. Kawawa yung ating future generation. Yung ating mga anak, yung ating mga apo, at ang mga susunod pang henerasyon na darating. Kasi yung nuclear war na yan, pag yan bumagsak sa isang bansa o sa isang lupa, hindi na po tutubo. Parang, kung maaalala nyo guys, yung sa Hiroshima, yung binagsakan ng atomic bomb, ilang taon bago nila natamlan ang kanilang lupain. Diba? Ang tagal guys. Daan taon din. So, antayin pa ba natin mangyari? Atomic bomb pa lang yun, hindi pa yung nuclear. So, kung pag-aaralan nyo yung tama ng nuclear sa isang bansa o sa isang lupa, talagang walang mabubuhay kahit magtanim man na kayo doon. Tayo, nabubuhay tayo dahil meron tayong kinakain sa pamamagitan ng pagtatanim ng ating mga magsasaka. Di ba? Ayun pa, isang ating mga heroes yung magsasaka. Yung mga nagtatanim at yun yung kinakain natin. So, yun guys. So, ituloy natin guys. Kasi minsan, yung iba, pag may nagpatawa, tawa lang ng tawa. Pero mali po yun. Hindi po ito biroan. Hindi po ito parang hilarious na video para tayo tumawa. Hindi po. Ito po ay isang pagpapaalala o itong video po itong ginawa ko ay para mamulat tayo na tayo po ay nahaharap sa malaking problema. Hindi po ako nananakot pero yun po ang totoo guys. So, ito po ay tuloy natin at pakikita ko po sa inyo kung ano po pwedeng mangyari at saan ito nagsimula. So, ito na po guys.
Ответ России будет незамедлительным и приведет вас к таким последствиям, с которыми вы в своей истории еще никогда не сталкивались.
The intimidating us with the usage of nuclear weapons.
Russia could launch a nuclear attack within months. Russia has the biggest nuclear arsenal in the world.
Это всего лишь один пуск, Борис, а Англии нет.
Putin could use a tactical nuclear weapon.
Russia is already in a position to destroy the world several times over.
Today, humanity is just one misunderstanding, one miscalculation away from nuclear annihilation.
Superpowers in a battle for supremacy in Ukraine.
Опасность серьезная, она реальна, ее нельзя недооценивать.
The fundamental role of U.S. nuclear weapons is to deter nuclear attacks on the United States, on our allies and partners.
They are bragging that they can destroy with nuclear weapons not only a certain country but the entire planet.
With nuclear-armed nations locking horns, could the course of war force Russia to resort to its deadly nuclear weapons? And in Putin's nuclear arsenal is the biggest weapon ever made, the world's largest ever nuclear device, the Tsar Bomba, or the Emperor of Bombs. October 30th, 1961, the peak of the Cold War, and Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev sent an unmistakable warning to the West. A Soviet Tu-95V bomber took off from the Olenia airfield in the Kola Peninsula, in the far north of Russia. The plane, painted bright white to lessen the impact of the mega bomb's flash, arrived at its target point, Novaya Zemlya, a sparsely populated area in the Barents Sea. The pilot brought his Bear bomber to Mityushika Bay, a Soviet testing range at a height of 34,000 feet. Following him was another modified Tu-16 to film the blast that would make history. The massive bomb was attached to a parachute, meant to delay its fall and the detonation, an attempt to give the pilot enough time to fly out of range. Even so, the chances of survival for the Soviet crew were grim. The odds were only 50% that they would live. They reached their destination, opened the locks, and dropped their deadly cargo. At 11:32 a.m. Moscow time, the bomb exploded. It created a fireball 8 kilometers wide. The explosion produced about 57,000 kilotons of energy. It was so intense that the flash could be seen from 1,000 kilometers away. Severny, an uninhabited village 55 kilometers from ground zero, was leveled. All buildings within this radius were completely destroyed. Windows within hundreds of kilometers were broken. The bomb was detonated 4 kilometers above the ground to minimize radioactive fallout, but even then, the ground below the explosion was incinerated by the intense heat. The rocks turned to ash. The plumes kept rising until they reached nearly 65 kilometers high. The shockwave generated after the explosion was so big that it traveled 3 times around the Earth. On the ground, the heat from the explosion was so much that even 100 kilometers away from the blast site, it would have caused third-degree burns. And although the warhead was detonated miles above the ground, it generated a strong seismic wave with a magnitude of over 5. A Soviet cameraman described the explosion like this.
The clouds beneath the aircraft and in the distance were lit up by the powerful flash. The sea of light spread under the hatch, and even clouds began to glow and became transparent. At that moment, our aircraft emerged from between 2 cloud layers, and down below in the gap, a huge bright orange ball was emerging. The ball was powerful and arrogant like Jupiter. Slowly and silently, it crept upwards. Having broken through the thick layer of clouds, it kept growing. It seemed to suck the whole earth into it. The spectacle was fantastic, unreal, supernatural.
The bomb was 8 meters long, had a diameter of nearly 2.6 meters and weighed more than 27 tons, the weight of 5 elephants. It was so big, it couldn't even fit in the internal bay of the huge plane that flew it to the test site. And the scale of its power was staggering.
First in a test in the United States, New Mexico.
It was 2,000 times more powerful than the American bomb dropped on Nagasaki. 10 times the total firepower used in the entire Second World War. Little Boy was 15 kilotons of TNT. The Tsar bomber was equivalent to 58 megatons of TNT. As immense as it was, the Tsar bomber was still only half as powerful as its original plan. The first blueprint was for a bomb with a 100 megaton yield, but Soviet scientists feared the radiation could blanket the entire northern part of the Soviet Union. Eventually, the original 3 layers of uranium were replaced with 3 layers of lead to cut its impact in half. That call was taken by one of the 3 people who played critical roles in the journey of the Tsar bomber, Andrei Sakharov. This Soviet nuclear scientist developed the bomb along with his team, but he later became a disarmament crusader, faced with the extent of devastation that nuclear bombs he had helped to create could cause. Sakharov was later awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. But in 1961, Sakharov was following the orders of Nikita Khrushchev, the man who was leading the Soviet Union, and wanted his country to have the world's biggest bomb. The third man who made the Tsar bomber possible was Andrei Durnovtsev, the pilot who dropped the bomb. Durnovtsev managed to fly his plane almost 45 kilometers away before the bomb that he had dropped exploded. But the blast still knocked him off course, with his Bear bomber dropping nearly a kilometer towards the ground. Luckily, the pilot managed to regain control, and against all odds, the plane landed safely. Durnovtsev was later promoted to the rank of lieutenant colonel and named a hero of the Soviet Union. The Tsar bomber had one clear purpose: to make the West tremble as they watched the might of Soviet technology. Before the Cold War started in 1947, the race to acquire the world's most destructive weapon had already begun. The US had already conducted the world's first nuclear test in 1945. And in August the same year, it ended the Second World War by dropping 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was this display of American power that prompted Joseph Stalin to order the development of Soviet nuclear weapons within 5 years. In August 1949, the Soviet Union conducted its first nuclear test, codenamed RDS-1, at the Semipalatinsk test site in modern-day Kazakhstan. Meanwhile, the United States tested the world's first hydrogen bomb, called Mike, in 1952, and its biggest nuclear device called Castle Bravo in 1954. A frosty Cold War had given way to a nuclear arms race. Soviet scientists were also working on developing a hydrogen bomb and managed to test their first in 1955. But Nikita Khrushchev went a step further and ordered the creation of the most powerful bomb ever made. Although its code name was supposed to be Ivan or Vanya, most of the Soviet scientists who developed the world's biggest bomb, including Andrei Sakharov, called it just that, the Big Bomb. Khrushchev called it Kuzka's mother, a Russian phrase that means a lesson you will never forget. The Americans, who Khrushchev was clearly targeting, simply called it Joe 111, but its most evocative name is the one that stuck, the Tsar Bomber, or the King of Bombs. The Tsar Bomber was a hydrogen aerial bomb, something that's also known as a thermonuclear weapon, a more advanced and powerful version of an atomic bomb. While atomic bombs use either uranium or plutonium in most cases, hydrogen bombs also need additional isotopes of hydrogen called deuterium and tritium. As a result, the reaction that causes the explosion is also different. Atomic bombs rely on fission, a process where the core of uranium or plutonium is compressed, which then splits into parts before releasing a huge amount of energy. Hydrogen bombs, on the other hand, not only use the energy from fission, but also from secondary fusion, making the explosion much stronger. In fact, Andrei Sakharov, its maker, used the Sloika method by alternating layers of deuterium, an isotope of hydrogen, and uranium. Testing the world's largest and most dangerous weapon was just the beginning. Just months after the detonation of the Tsar Bomber, Khrushchev ordered the detonation of another megaton bomb. In fact, Soviet scientists detonated a total of 79 nuclear bombs in the following year. America, too, was keeping up the pace. Its nuclear tests in the Marshall Islands, for example, is something that the US is still paying reparations for. Between 1946 and 1958, the US cloaked the Marshall Islands in radiation worth 7,000 Hiroshima bombs.
7 miles into the sky, the awe-inspiring cloud billows and surges.
The world had to draw the line somewhere, and it did in 1963, when the two superpowers agreed to ban all above-ground nuclear tests, 2 years after the Tsar Bomber explosion. In 1963, the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Soviet Union signed the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, which prohibited nuclear tests in the atmosphere, in outer space, and underwater. Over the years, the USSR and the US continued to test a large number of nuclear bombs. Between 1949 and 1990, the Soviet Union conducted 750 nuclear tests, and the US 969. While the Soviet Union carried out these tests within its own borders, the US used several foreign test sites. After years of experiments, testing, and explosions, the Soviet Union conducted its last nuclear test in 1990. For the US, it was 1992. The number of nuclear weapons in the world has significantly declined since the Cold War. Warheads have been reduced from approximately 70,300 in 1986 to an estimated 12,700 in early 2022. However, the world's combined inventory of nuclear warheads remains very high. 9 countries possess roughly 12,700 warheads as of 2022. Approximately 90% of all nuclear warheads are owned by Russia and the United States. Each own more than 5,000. The overall inventory of nuclear weapons in the world is declining, but the pace of reduction has slowed over the last 30 years. Of the world's 12,700 nuclear warheads, more than 9,400 are in military stockpiles for use by missiles, aircraft, ships, and submarines. Russia released classified footage of the world's largest nuclear explosion only in 2020 to mark the 75th anniversary of Russia's atomic industry. And it is perhaps most effective as a signal nothing more of Russia's power. Its very size and scale make it difficult to use. Any plane that would have had to carry the Tsar bomber would not be able to carry enough fuel to reach its target. However, the possibility of Russia placing similar warheads on powerful intercontinental ballistic missiles does exist. And this would bring cities on the other side of the globe into Moscow's crosshairs. 30 years after the end of the Cold War, the United States and Russia are yet again standing face to face over Ukraine. Both are nuclear armed, and where nuclear weapons exist, there exists the possibility of a nuclear war. And in Putin's arsenal is the world's biggest nuclear bomb.
Yun po, mga kababayan ko, mga kapatid, mga viewers ko at ang aking mga subscriber, natunghayan po natin kung ano po pwedeng mangyari. Hindi lang sa Ukraine at sa Russia, kundi sa buong mundo. Tayo maliit na bansa. Imagine niyo kung babagsakan tayo ng mga ganong klase ng mass of weapon destruction. Isang ano lang tayo, tingalan tayo ng kumpara sa mga iba't ibang bansa na powerful nations. Wala pong nananalo sa gera. Kaya po ako'y nakikiusap sa alitan ng Ukraine at ng Russia. Tigilan na po natin kasi maraming madadamay. At nakarinig nga po ako sa news tinanong yung isang ini-interview niya. Sa tingin mo, sino ang nananalo sa laban ng Ukraine at Russia? Hindi niya masagot. Pero ako may sagot doon. Wala pong mananalo. Walang mananalo sa gera. Lahat talo. Kaya nga, yung nakaraang kong explanation sa inyo, simple-simple lang ang logic ko doon. Halimbawa, 5 tao na lang ang bawat isa. Let's say, for example, ito yung 5 na tao sa kabilang panig at 5 rin doon sa kabilang panig. So, naggera sila. Doon sa isa, may natirang 3, sabihin natin 3, and then dami, di ba? Sa 5 lang kasi pinag-usapan 3. Tapos doon sa isa, natira 1. Sa palagay nyo guys, sino ang nanalo? May natirang 3 o may natirang 1? Ako, ang sagot din dyan, wala pong nanalo. Walang nanalo. Kasi may namatay din sa kabila, may namatay din sa kabila. At tignan nyo ang kanilang lupain, wasak-wasak. Kagaya lang na sa Ukraine, wasak-wasak po. Ang mga building doon, mga struktura na nakatayo sa Ukraine, ay wasak-wasak po. So, walang mananalo po. Even Russia, sabihin mo mananalo. Hindi po. Kasi, yung pinakawalan nilang mga missiles, pera din yun. Pera yun ng taong bayan ng Russia, Russian government. So, talo rin sila. At yung, sabihin na natin, na-overcome nila ang Ukraine. Sino magbabayad dun sa na-distract nila doon? Sino magbabayad doon sa mga civilian na namatay sa Ukraine? Di ba? Talo rin sila. Alam nga namang wala silang responsibility doon sa nangyari yun. Yun po ang ibig kong patukuyin guys, na wala pong nananalo sa gera. So, yun po guys. Salamat po sa inyong panonood, sa pakikinig. At ito po ang inyong lingkod, si DIY KKB, informative, para lang sa mga impormasyon na gusto nyong malaman. At ito rin para mamulat tayo sa katotohanan na tuwi-tuwi na kapit kamay po tayo. Magdasal po tayo sa ating ikatatagumpay na maging matiwasay ang ating buhay. Yan po guys. So, meron pa po ako mga susunod na videos. Kung gusto niyo pong mag-subscribe na po kayo. At marami po akong impormasyon na ibibigay sa inyo. Dito lang po sa DIY KKB. Informative. So, tuwi-tuwi na sinasabi ko, keep safe, God bless, and you have a great day. kapit-kapit po tayong kamay na magdasal para sa ating kaligtasan. Salamat po.